Hi everyone, Andi here. I'm a vintage reseller, thrifter, and interior design enthusiast. So if you watch my channel, you know I recently picked up a really beautiful original watercolor, and I wasn't sure if I was going to keep it or not, and I've decided to keep it because the colors and subject matter is just too good, so on trend. So I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna have to keep it. So it is this original watercolor of two women. Now, I probably should have warned you, there's nudity. So avert your eyes if you don't wanna see breasts. But I thought this was stunning. It is artist signed in the corner. It was actually in like this pile, like huge pile of artwork. So this vendor had gotten a ton of original art. We were flipping through it, my friend and I, when we were out thrifting, and then I was like, stop, that piece is amazing. So I grabbed it out. It was only $15, which was incredible. So the problem with finding affordable art is that you get so excited, it was, so affordable, it's cheap, you bring it home and then you realize, okay, I need to frame this now. And if you knew anything about framing, it can be very expensive. So there are a few ways that you can frame a piece of art. Obviously, you can take it to a framing shop. That's gonna cost you probably the most money. This piece, like back here, we had professionally framed. It's a map of London, and I think it ended up being close to $1,000 to frame, which to me now is just insanity. Like, we must have lost our minds in the moment. I mean, it is really big. Like, I'll pan up. So it is really large, so that's part of the reason why, but still kind of crazy to spend that. But if you really want to preserve something, especially if it's valuable, professional framing is a great way to go because they're using the right glass, the right glues, the right way of actually placing it in the frame, so the piece of artwork is going to last. So there's actually a lot that goes into professional framing that many people don't know or appreciate. But frankly, it is not in very many people's budget to have something professionally framed. So if you don't want to go down that route, there's like the online framers that are a little bit cheaper. We've done that before too for some of our artwork. But you're still probably gonna drop like a few $100s depending on the size. Like something like this would be hundreds of dollars to like professionally frame, especially if you wanted like a really nice matting, etc., or like gallery quality glass. So there's a lot of things that add up. So another thing you can do is you can go to like, your big box stores and buy frames, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Crate and Barrel, West Elm. There's a lot of framing there too. That's considerably more inexpensive, but it's still like pricier. So you're still gonna be dropping some money on a frame. So my recommendation and what I decided to do was actually go out and thrift a frame for my piece of art. So the main thing you need to do when you're out trying to find a frame is, one, you need to go quite often, because sometimes it can be slim pickings at your thrift store depending on what is coming in. And you also need to make sure that you're dealing with a piece of art that is somewhat within like standard frame sizes to have like your best way of finding a frame for it. So definitely measure your art. So have the measurements of your art in your mind written down before you go out shopping, and then make sure you're bringing like a tape measure with you. I actually have a teeny tiny tape measure that I take everywhere with me. As a thrifter and reseller, you kind of have to, because you have to make sure, one, is it gonna fit in my car, and two, is it gonna fit, like, am I gonna have storage space for it? And then if it's for me, I have to be like, do I even have room in my house for it? So yeah, there's always many reasons to carry around a tape measure. And so I found this beautiful gold frame actually at Goodwill. So the frame itself, there's actually artwork in it, and the frame itself was really, really inexpensive. So I thought that was like awesome to find because it's gold. I wanted like some sort of like, not quite shiny, but textured gold. So I found it, glass, and I wanted to make sure that it was a skinny enough frame, so that way the artwork had more more space to occupy within the frame. Because otherwise, if the frame itself is chunky, then that adds to like the weight of the look. And I wanted, because this is such a light, because watercolor is such a light and airy type of medium, I wanted to make sure that the frame wasn't too heavy. I wanted it to remain like light. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure I had a really thin frame. Plus, thin frames are in style right now. So yeah, I found this, I thought it was great. I'm actually going to take you through the entire framing process. So that's one thing that's kind of tricky about, frames that you can buy at stores are really easy to pop artwork into. They usually have those little swivel things. You just like unswivel each of them, pop out the back, put it in the art, and boom, you're done. So very easy. For frames like this, they have had, maybe they were professionally framed at one time, like this one was, or someone just, did a better job and used like a better quality framing like structure. It can be a little bit more involved removing everything. And so I will show you the process of how to remove the hardware and the backing and stuff on one of the most common ways of professionally framing artwork. So I'm gonna go through that whole process with you right now. So I bought this frame at Goodwill, and what I thought was so lucky is I think it's almost exactly the size that I need for this picture. So yeah, just a little bit wider than the actual frame, which because the frame is so, like the border is so thin, I don't think I'm gonna have to cut down and like sacrifice too much. So I'll be able to like make sure there's a little bit more white space on this side, and then on this side, cut a little bit more down. And then on the top, like looking at it, I think for the most part, just like I'll lose just a little bit of room on the top, which isn't bad because there's a lot of white space up there in comparison to kind of down here. So yeah, I thought it was a really amazing find. I'm going to be taking out this matting because it's not my favorite. It's like a lavender mauve, so I'll be taking that out. But I probably will save it because even though this matting is colored, you actually like paint it with paint, and then you have a matte on hand. So I may save it for something in the future, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this because it's actually an original watercolor. Purple's not my thing, but maybe I'll like give it in like on OfferUp or post on my OfferUp group on Facebook and say, hey, watercolor free, come take it. But yeah, I'll probably use the matte in here as kind of the guide for what I need to cut this piece down to. And yeah, so we're gonna see how it goes. I'm gonna flip it over next and kind of show you how you dismantle this type of professional framing. One thing I think that is hysterical is when you can see like, okay, so I got this for $7, and then look, it was sold another time at like Goodwill at another point. So I think it's so funny when you can see like the life of a piece based on like the sticker residue from the thrift store. So these are actually not super hard to take off, like these pieces here, because they're spring loaded. And so that's kind of how you pop them in and out of place. So see, it's already done. So it's actually a lot easier to take out than you think. But you want to make sure that you keep a lot of the pieces that you take out, especially like any padding and stuff that's inside here. Because I'm removing the matting on this side like this, that actually, like you can kind of see, there's some depth to it. So I'm gonna have to make up that depth in padding in order to have the picture lay and be in the frame like stiff enough so where you don't see any sort of rippling or movement. So some things to keep in mind as you're framing something yourself, but obviously look at this. This is obviously way tighter than it needs to be. So yeah, so I don't think I need to go quite as crazy, but yeah, so I'll remove all these pieces and we'll kind of open it up and see what we're working with. Okay, so this is what it looks like underneath. I managed to get this off once I got the corner pieces. I was able to slide that out. And I needed to do that in order to get some leverage to take out these side pieces. They're a beast. They're diabolical to get out because they have little teeth you can see here. And then also they're spring loaded as well. And then this area here like hooks underneath of this type of frame there. So you definitely have to do a little bit of like maneuvering and stuff. Be very careful because like I said, you want to be careful with the amount of pressure you're putting down. And then also these are all pretty sharp edges. So this guy, we'll see how I have one side out, try to get the other. So I may actually need to use a flathead screwdriver, which I would probably recommend you have anyways on hand. I just have been lazy to go get one, but I think it's time. Okay, so I was able to get everything out. So I'm going to use this as a template for the size and how I'm going to cut down this picture. This is kind of like one of those tricks when you're framing your own art. Always use the advertisement that says like the size right here that comes with the frame. Use it as the template to cut down art that might be too big. So that's what I'm going to do with this. And then remember how I was saying I was kind of worried after removing this frame the matting, that I was not going to have enough like thickness to put it back together. I think I actually may use this, now that I think about it, inside the piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to obviously cut this down to size. I'm going to put this white side up behind the piece of art like this once it's cut down. And then I think I'm going to put the matting behind the piece, like removing the artwork, put the matting behind the piece, and that should give me the thickness when combined with this original piece of cardboard, the thickness I need for the frame. So hopefully it comes together okay, because there is a little bit of glass missing there. I don't think it's a huge deal, since this is kind of like, you know, like a hack framing job, and I don't think it's going to be super obvious, but we'll kind of see. It just means I have to be extra careful when I'm re-putting it all together and putting pressure down that I don't crack it. One tip too is, because there's all this like residue on here now, always make sure that you're cleaning the surface of the glass before you're putting in new art, because there's always like bits and stuff, and it's really annoying to have something framed so beautifully and then have like black marks and dust and other stuff show up. It's really a bummer. So especially if you went through all the effort of tightening everything down. So always clean your glass first. Okay, so I put the artwork in. I put that template that I was using down on top of it with the white side facing the art. And then I have the frame here, or rather the matting, the old matting. I'm putting this down. I'm putting this down like finished side up, just because it has this old tape on it. And I don't want to have to get it up. It's kind of there's one thing that's like terrible, is this type of tape just like ages so bad and gets really like flaky and gross. I don't want that to get anywhere inside of the frame, so I'm just going to keep it like on the outside, and hopefully then it will stay put and not put like debris and stuff in the picture. So this, the last piece is putting the cardboard back in, which is going to probably take 2 hands. Are probably going to have to let go of the can. Oh no, look at me. Got it in. Okay, so then the final like step. So I always recommend, if you have another person around, to kind of have them help hold, lift it up without the hardware in, and check to make sure there are no like bits in the frame and that everything is lined up correctly, because you never know what's gonna like somehow like magically appear, and then you do, because you don't want to do any of that type of stuff once you already have the hardware back in, because it's such a nightmare to put in. So anyways, yeah, so definitely like do a quick check before you put the hardware in, with everything framed and in place. You guys, I was able to get the hardware back in. Actually, honestly, it was easier to get it in than it was to get it out for the first time. Got these side pieces in. I actually did the corners first, and then I put in the side pieces. Just remember where the hardware was, and you should be able to see, because it will have left indents in either the cardboard or the card backing. And so make sure you place them in the same spots, because that will make the process that much easier. And then you know, like this part, the wire is at the right height. And just also make sure that you have your artwork the right way around. I definitely check that, because this is actually higher up than the bottom, and you don't want it to be the reverse. And then your artwork won't hang correctly on the wall. So yeah, turning it over. There she is. So it turned out so well. I can't believe like $7 for this frame, which is amazing, because it's a nice metal frame with the glass. I think the artwork was like perfectly proportioned inside, and yeah, it looks beautiful. So I can't wait to get it up into my bathroom where it's going to live. So we're in my bathroom, and this is actually where I'm going to put the piece of artwork. I love the high on the wall here. I think it's such a fun like moment when we walk in. It's just like, hi, and it's in this like lovely sunny yellow. But in the mirror over here, it ends up being backwards. And so that has always like annoyed me from the first time I actually hung it up. So I've been like, oh, should I put a piece of artwork there? And then when I found this piece of artwork and the tones, I mean, can you believe how lovely these tones are, like with all the different colors that I have, and the like the greens and the peacocky turquoisey colors? I thought it was like perfect. So it's going to live right here on the wall. I'm going to take this high sign and actually put it down in my kitchen. Okay, so here's the result. I love the way it turned out. I am sorry for the light coming from the window, super annoying. It of course has to be in a spot by a window that makes it very hard to film, but I think the end result is stunning. The artwork itself was $15 and then the frame was only $7 from Goodwill. So all in, that is an amazing deal for a piece of original art that is custom framed. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you want more DIY tips and tricks when it comes to decorating, definitely let me know. I'm up for it. I just want to make sure you guys are interested in the content too, as my viewer. So definitely sound off below in the comments, and also let me know what you think of my framing project and if you think I did the artwork justice by taking it and framing it in this frame. If you're looking for more thrifting and decorating content between my videos here on YouTube, make sure you're following me on Instagram. I share thrifting content, behind the scenes content, all sorts of just like random fun stuff that I'm doing throughout the week that's related to thrifting and decorating. Thanks again for watching, and I can't wait to see you in my next thrifting and decorating video. Take care.